Um, President Masa Asakawa of the ADB just last month made a very ambitious announcement. He announced that the ADB will be providing a total of $100 billion, a very big number, of climate financing between now and 2030. And this is up from an $80 billion target that we had just a couple of years ago. Now, we have a ways to go before we get there. Just last year, we committed a little bit more than $5 billion in climate finance. 80% of that going for mitigation and the rest largely for adaptation. This additional 20 billion that we announced is going to go in a few different areas. In mitigation, we'll be investing in things like energy storage and energy efficiency and low carbon transport. You know, one of the key messages that I heard at COP26 in Glasgow was the rising importance of adaptation. That as we work hard to change the carbon trajectory of the planet, we've also got to be ready for what's going to happen if we're not entirely successful. And so adaptation is going to be a big focus for us as we spend this $100 billion or invest this $100 billion. And our intention is to put $34 billion at least into adaptation for cities, for farms, for water supply. So this is both our ambitions at a high level and some of the areas where we'll be deploying our funding.
Okay, from $100 billion for Asia, how much is it for Indonesia?
Well, I think the ambition in Indonesia is to do as much of it as we possibly can in Indonesia. Indonesia is an incredibly important country. It's important regionally and globally. It's also very prominent if we look at the trajectory of carbon emissions, because it's a large country growing fast and one with a lot of coal-fired power. So our hope is to do as much as we possibly can in Indonesia.
And which type of financing is it in Indonesia?
I'm sorry?
Which type of financing is it in Indonesia?
Yeah, so in Indonesia last year, we did $395 million of climate finance. And that was split between our work supporting the public sector and the private sector. On the public sector side, we're investing in the expansion of geothermal energy in Dieng and Patuha. We're investing in distributed renewable energy in Kalimantan and Maluku and Papua. And we're also doing some work on climate resilience. On the private investment side, because we also support private firms, we've made several investments in large geothermal power projects, both in Sarula and Rantau Dadar, both in Sumatra. And what I would say to you is that while we've done all of this, we need to do a lot more. And we're pulling the resources together to be able to do a lot more. There's something called the ASEAN Infrastructure Fund, which is managed by ADB. And we launched a new initiative associated with this fund that's going to be looking to unlock $7 billion of capital for green infrastructure projects across ASEAN. Obviously, Indonesia will be a big, big part of that. And I think that ETM, the Energy Transition Mechanism, is ultimately going to drive a lot of investment into Indonesia, both to buy the coal and shut it down. But that's just the first step. The even more important thing is going to be replacing it with renewables. And it's certainly my hope and expectation that ADB will be investing large sums, billions, into those climate financing opportunities in Indonesia.
Jangan lupa install aplikasi CNBC Indonesia yang ada di App Store dan juga Play Store untuk terus ikuti perkembangan berita dan informasi seputar bisnis yang terkini.